Do you think that Jerry will trade Romo?
I do not. I fully now expect Tony Romo to be the Game 1 starter next year for my Dallas Cowboys. And I jokingly just told Shannon Sharpe he's in trouble today, but the truth is, in all seriousness, I'm in trouble today. Thank you very much. On yesterday's show, we reacted quickly to things Jerry had just said on his radio show. You just heard those remarks, but I had not yet heard the remarks until after we were off the air. And only when I heard the remarks and they went into my ears and down into my heart did the gravity, the depth of those remarks hit home with me. Shannon Sharpe, I've told you many times, I know Jerry Jones. I spent literally hundreds of hours around Jerry Jones over a 5-year period. I wrote 3 books in which Jerry was prominent. I observed him for many of those hours. I interviewed him for many more of those hours. I know him, and I know what he was saying in those remarks that you just heard. He was saying, I told you so. I told you that Tony Romo could have taken us farther than that rookie quarterback did just take us. And he was basically saying that I told you I was right when I gave all that money to Tony Romo back in 2013, and I'm going to show you how right I am. And to me, I believe that deep down in Jerry's too stubborn pride, that he was not unhappy that his Cowboys lost to Aaron Rodgers. Not unhappy because it clearly reopened the door, even if it just cracked open the door, for him to reinstall the quarterback, as we talked about, that he loves like a son, as his starting quarterback in Dallas, Texas. And you look at what he said. I strongly believe Tony Romo will play in a Super Bowl. Well, seriously, do you think he wants that to be for, let's say, the Denver Broncos or the Arizona Cardinals or, I don't know, the New York Jets? No, he wants it to be for the Dallas Cowboys. And then he said once again, and he said this before, what you saw Rodgers do Sunday, Romo is fully capable of doing. Now, you would scoff at that, but Jerry would not, because Tony Romo has sensational ability. He can fling it, not quite like Aaron can fling it, but he has that sort of nuclear capability.
He has some improvisation.
He does. He's got some playmaker in him, okay? And they all say if you saw him play basketball as a point guard type, he can really handle it. So he's got all that. He's like a point guard quarterback. So we get all that. Is he historically great? We'll talk about that in just a minute. But then Jerry concluded that don't believe anything you hear or read, because only one can make that decision. Only one. He just said it publicly. The buck stops with me. I'm Jerry Jones. I'm the owner. I'm the general manager. I think he basically said, I'm the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
What about what Jason Garrett said? This was going to be an organizational.
Yeah. Jason, as I said yesterday, I was correct about this. Jason couldn't say anything yesterday. He couldn't bless Dak. He couldn't say, well, he's obviously the starting quarterback because the owner hadn't signed off yet.
Correct.
And so he's basically saying that I haven't made that decision yet, says Jerry Jones. Well, the mere fact that he hasn't made the decision after all he just watched Dak do for an entire season and a playoff game, that's all you need to know. The decision to me has been made. He is keeping Tony Romo, and Romo will be his starter next year. Now, I said yesterday, there's a chance, but I think it's a slim chance that he's just trying to drive up Tony's trade value with all these big comparisons to Aaron Rodgers kind of remarks. I don't believe that's going on here because I know the depth of Jerry's love for Tony Romo. So deep down, he's got the perfect Romo situation because he knows Dak can play, obviously. He witnessed that. So he can slide Dak onto the back burner at a very reasonable price because he makes a rookie contract in 4th round.
I think it's like 2.6, 2.7 million over 4 years.
So it's good. So he can still fit Tony, as he said, under the cap. No problem. And then obviously we know Tony has injury history upon injury history. So he's got the best of both worlds as far as Jerry sees it, because he can see how far Tony lasts, and maybe he lasts the way he did 2014 all the way into the playoffs. And then Jerry can say, I told you so. We got to a Super Bowl with Tony Romo. I'm going to say it again. Tony Romo will not win as many games as Dak Prescott just won. And I'm offended by the prospect that Tony Romo could be the starter over a kid who did nothing but prove that he wasn't just a good quarterback, He played at an elite level as a rookie quarterback. I don't think any rookie quarterback has ever played better than Dak Prescott, including the playoff game. And this is what I get as a fan. And I'm stuck because obviously I can't fire Jerry Jones. He owns the football team.
And you can't take your love to another team.
I won't take my love to another team.
Skip, I still believe Jerry will ultimately trade Tony Romo, but he's going to have to come to grips with reality. And Stephen Jones can't convince him, Jason Garrett can't convince him, and whomever sits at the table with him that he bounces ideas off. Only Jerry can convince Jerry that this needs to happen. Because what needs to happen is that Dak does not need to constantly look over his shoulder. As long as Tony Romo's there, there's always going to be that inclination. At the first slip-up that Dak has, put Tony in the game. I don't understand. Jerry keeps saying Tony Romo can make those plays that we saw Aaron Rodgers make. In Tony Romo's best dream, in Jerry Jones' best dream, he can't play like Aaron Rodgers did on Sunday. Think about this, Skip. Tony Romo has played 6 playoff games. He's never had a 300-yard passing game. Dak had one Sunday. As a matter of fact, half of the games in which he played, so 3 of the 6, he's been less than 200. So how can Jerry come to the conclusion after what he's seen in 6 games in the playoffs? We're not talking about regular season because we've seen guys have great regular seasons, but they can't answer the bell come playoff time. There is no shame losing to Aaron Rodgers when he's playing like this.